I'm Taimur Rushdie. I come from the UK. I'm originally Lebanese and Egyptian. I've lived most of my life between London and Paris, 9 years each. I work for the men's soccer team here at the UW, have done for 3 years now. It's been an absolute honour and a pleasure. I'm a student manager, do a whole variety of things for the team, anything and everything that is needed. Lost my father when I was younger, unfortunately. Still have my mother and my stepfather, who I'm very close with. I coach as well. I coach the UW Women's Club soccer team, which is really fun. I love to coach. It's almost more satisfying than playing, because you get to take a group of people and kind of show them what you know, hopefully, and hopefully they'll respond. And when it translates into wins or, players getting better, being a better player in June than you were in September, it's awesome. It's quite an awesome feeling, I will say. And I understand Jamie Clark. I understand why he enjoys coaching so much, just from this small experience that I've had.
Well, Richard Rees. I come from a small fishing village called Cullercoats Bay, which is in England, just outside of Newcastle. Being at UW now, this is my 10th season at the U, but fell in love with the place, have no intentions of ever leaving, hopefully. Met my wife, who is a Texan, met her in Florida. We've been married for 10 years this year. We have 2 daughters, one who's 5, and we have a younger daughter, Charlie. She is 14 months, so we have the 2 girls, Jazzy and Charlie. I'd probably say that was probably the biggest turning point on me, on making sense of everything, more than maybe just being completely single-minded about one thing, which I'd always been with regards to soccer.
When I was younger, I lived with my father in London, and he was diehard football fan, soccer fan, sorry. He was a Manchester United fan, so by birth I didn't really have a choice. I was a Manchester United fan. Always had, Manchester United jerseys thrown on me. So I didn't know any other way. I played growing up for fun, and it's always been in part of me. I used to watch every single game with my father, whether it was on Wednesday night. I used to get to stay up past my bedtime on Tuesday or Wednesday nights when Manchester United were in the Champions League, just so that I could watch the game. And I watch all the games on the weekend with him as well. So ever since I was a kid, it's kind of been ingrained in me. I've always loved it.
It's an active game of chess, I suppose. You get to study, look at their stats, work out players, and then it either all comes to pieces at the weekend or it unravels at the weekend. And I think that for me is the super exciting part of it.
This year we've got more finesse, we've got more talent, we've got the benefit of having Christian Roldans, Darwin Jones, players that can change games just by themselves. And you hope that will translate with the other guys on the team, they'll earn it themselves, because you have to earn a football win. Football is not like basketball or American football, where oftentimes if you're the clear favorite, 99 times out of 100 you'll win the game. In soccer, anything can happen. You can lose to anybody, because Jamie says this all the time, it's so hard to score goals. It's not easy to score goals. So the differentiation between teams is not as clear as it is in other more high-scoring games.
you always would like to win, but there's always got to be purpose to what you do, and you got to make sense of things. And people want to live till they're 100. People want to have healthy kids, grandkids, and live a great life. But that's not the hand everyone's dealt. And if you don't grow through all your moments in life and try to get on to the next step and enjoy the moment, but have a purpose in front of you, then things probably are going to be pretty down and at times. And I don't have time to be down. I don't have time to worry. I have time to be grumpy in the exact moment, but then let's move on. Let's move forward. Whether it be next season we're already moving on to and looking forward to, that's going to be the case. We're going to have to move forward at some point, hopefully with a national championship in our pocket. But even if you win a national championship, the celebration lasts for 48 hours, and you always have something to hold on to. But if we have a great team or a great season like last season, we don't have a medal in our pocket from winning a national championship last season, but we had a great team. And all the memories are there with our team, and the friendships and the bond. So, and guess what? We've moved on from that team. In the same way, we'll move on from this team. And it's more life that if you're not ready to move on and embrace the next thing and the growth, kind of cliche. It's just basically, I think, a way of handling and dealing and being positive amongst a group. More than it is anything else.
Does it push, though, players enough to get the most out of them? I mean, or is that something you don't really believe in?
Yeah, I mean, I think in the end, there is no right answer to how you approach things. I think looking back, and I used my father as a good example. I mean, people have always said, "Oh, you could use that freshman again. You could use that guy," and In this game, you will go with your sure things that you know will help you win. And then there's gray areas, and then there's coaches that will think, "Ooh, this might work, and we're going to try it," and they'll sacrifice a lot to do it. We'll stay within our system. That's what I've watched and learned. We'll stay within our guys who've won us games. We've been very successful. We've showed we can beat the top team in the RPI. You've showed you can, you've got the ability with the group that you've had. So beyond that, I'm not a huge risk taker, because if we thought it was going to have won us games in the past, we'd have done it. And there's no point in just throwing the common sense out for a whim. And I think that's, and in the same way with everything we approach, like if we thought that being really hard on some guys would get us a little more, we do it, and we pick some things. But over the course of a season, I believe confidence, I believe unity trumps fear.
I first started coaching Spence when he was 12. 12 or 13. So it's been a long time. And he was always a little different. He was undersized, really undersized. But technically very, very gifted. Just naturally moved very well. But the biggest thing about Spence were, two big things. One, he knew he was good. Even when he was, little, he knew he was the guy. So you could watch him and he'd stroll around the field, which made him look 6 inches bigger. And he had the confidence to try things which probably goalkeepers his age weren't. Distribution-wise, connecting with the game. And since he's grown, he went away to residency with the national team, which I think was great for him because it's that gave him a lot of good daily habits, and that internal competition, trying to make a World Cup roster, which he did. But he works diligently at his game, and always has. I think if you ask Spence, he'd probably always say that he always knew he was going to play at a higher level. Or he certainly portrays that, which for a goalkeeper is massive. You've got to portray confidence. If you don't, then the guys ahead of you aren't going to be very confident in you.
I mean, and then there's Ryan.
Yeah. All 6'7" of them. Yeah, there's a lot of Ryan. I took Ryan at U14. I think I started coaching Ryan. We didn't get on very well. Ryan was always, without a doubt, the most talented goalkeeper in the age group. And I was his ODP coach, which is like a Olympic development team. And I made Ryan the sub. And then I cut him. What he probably doesn't know, the year that I cut him, I was actually pushing him for the national team. Herm's a special kid. You know, the more you get to know him, I think I only knew him as a young guy from the outside. You know, I think maybe I had more of a personal connection with Spence when he was younger. Herm's a really good guy. You know, he's got a strong character. If you look at who's celebrating for the team the most, it's him. You know, the first one to celebrate with Spence on the PKs is Herm. The jumping up and down in the locker room because they've won with the guys is Ryan. You know, and to do that, and I don't think he's accepted that he's number 2, but to know right now he's sitting as number 2 says a lot about him. And then on more of the personal side, and he showed me a lot. You know, I lost my dad last year, and the first guy that gave me a hug was him. And I thought, nice kid. And it was true feelings. And you know, you tend not to show it too much. You know, it's got to be a butch bravado English guy, but meant the world. You know, that's what makes coaching worthwhile too, when you can have that connection.
If your dad were here, what would you tell him?
If he were here today, I'd probably tell him, why'd you make me so in love with this game of football? So stressful. Why'd you do it? No, I'd tell my dad. That's a hard question, because I think about him all the time. I think about what he would tell me to do in this situation, especially now, in my last year of school. I'd probably tell him, I mean, I can't think of another thing other than thank you, because everything I do here, everything I'm in love with here, is due to what he made me in love with when I was this big, when I was about this big, probably.
Does your family ever tell each other they love each other?
Oh, yeah. I tell my dad that too, so I forgot about that. I'll probably tell him I love him more than anything. I love my dad for everything he's given me in terms of while he was here or while he wasn't here. Because a lot of the messages he taught me as a kid, I will remember now, and I will use now, and I use a lot of what he taught me as a kind of a path, you know. It was one thing I always take is that he told me never ever give up, never quit. And that's something, again, it's a cliche, but a lot of times when I find myself maybe down in the dumps or kind of having struggles with certain things, I always remember never give up.
Tell me, what was what's the toughest thing you've ever been through?
Good question. I think I probably had a different background than most of the guys here. It's tough not making the grade. You know, I mean, I was fortunate enough to leave school at 16 and bounce around the pro and the semi-pro game. But it's difficult when you know, after 7 years, when you realize I'm not quite good enough.
I mean, if you look at the college soccer, everybody is about, you know, here, there. No one is like up here and someone's down here when you get to the tournament. Once you get to the tournament, most teams are very close. But it's those little things that matter. It's perhaps...
But aren't all the other teams going to do those little things and work hard?
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. The one thing I didn't mention, it takes luck. You got to have a bit of luck. No team will win without having some luck. I promise you that. But there's no... What's the magical ingredient? I don't think anyone will be able to tell you that.
You talked about winning the national championship.
Mm-hmm.
What's it really going to take? I mean, to get there. I mean, it's right out there in front of you. You have another step right here.
Jamie, I think if we're going to win it, yeah, the team's for sure got to make the decision to win it. But I think UW will win it because of him. You know, is it this year? I'm not sure. It certainly has the potential to be this year. The talent in the locker room. His leadership, his management. You know, every team needs something that makes you a little different from the next team. You know, and yeah, is it a special player? You know, absolutely, we've got some special players. But it's all got to come together. And yeah, he'll be the guy that puts it together. You know, I mean, you know, I've followed Jamie since he started coaching. I think he started a year before me. And he was a guy that I liked on the recruiting scene. You know, he was different. His barbed wire tattoo and his flip-flops kind of draws you in. You know, and then I'd see him at games where nobody else was at. And all of a sudden I'm looking across and thinking, New Mexico guy's out here too. I thought this kid was a sleeper and only I'd seen him. But he's out there. He's out at everything. You know, and you know, when you go to Notre Dame and obviously spend the experience with his dad, who was, you know, probably the top guy in college soccer. When he went to Harvard, I followed that, dropped him a couple of emails. You know, I mean, he's different. So if you ask me what's going to win a national championship, team, fortune, good luck, and a boss like him. Needs to be somebody different. He's for me, he's a difference maker, big difference maker. As much as he'll say no, it's all about the team and it's all about special players. You know, that's who they look to.
Once you get to overtime, I think everything is ceteris paribus, as they say in economics. Everything is equal. The only way to win is, I think it's the team that wants it more. And I think it's a passion thing. I think it's a heart You've got to have the heart, you've got to have the passion to dig really deep and go and get it.
I tell you what, I was pretty sure that was done. I had quit on you. I had no idea that there was a chance we'd come back. That was unbelievable. That was unbelievable. That's the best. And I've always said, if you're going to go to a Final Four, if you're going to do it, you got to get through one crazy situation. And that was some of the best we've ever played here. Your keeper was unbelievable for them. But you, like, somehow, and even when things went bad, really bad, You guys are awesome, man. Enjoy it.